Tennessee on a 2-game losing streak. Gators, meanwhile, have been magnificent all season long. They have the same starting 5 every game. They've led them to an 18-2 record. They've won 3 in a row. Their only 2 losses were quad 1 losses. And they're looking to be a top 2 seed in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2014. Tennessee and Florida on Rocky Top. Joe Lindsay will put it in the air, and we are underway in Knoxville. So this lineup for Tennessee has been together less than 3% of plays all season long. They start with a corner 3 that's off the mark from Darlinson Dubar. So Dubar moves into the starting lineup. Jordan Gainey moves into the starting lineup. And the Gators, Dane, led by a very talented backcourt, highlighted by Walter Clayton Jr. They tried to get it inside to Condon, and he nearly turned it away. Here's Elijah Martin. He had 18 in the previous matchup. Late in the shot clock, Clayton fires one in and out, and it's knocked out of bounds. They say off of Felix Okpara and will stay with the Gators.
Well, and that's an area Tennessee must keep Florida off the offensive glass. The Florida Gators are the best team in the country, getting 41% of their misses. And they love to run a lot of offense through this guy right here, big man Alex Condon.
Wide open 3 for Walter Clayton Jr. Went over the top and out of bounds and back to Tennessee. Meanwhile, Tennessee coming off of a loss to Kentucky midweek. Brand new starting 5 for Rick Barnes and this Tennessee team, which was #1 in the country just a minute ago.
They've got to show patience here. Try to get a paint touch ball reversal. That first possession, they shot a quick corner 3, and that's what really hurt them in that last game against Kentucky, where they shot 45 from beyond the arc.
Here's Jemai Meshack. Steps through and a block at the rim. Turned away by Ruben Chinyalu. Clayton with the baseline drive, nearly threw it to the second row. And after a near steal by Florida, or pardon me, by Tennessee, Clayton fires up a contested 3.
He's a really good shooter from deep, but you want to make him deck it, put it on the ground. So far, 2 of his have been off the bounce and contested. Here's
Lanier off the mark. His shooting has gone ice cold in conference play. So Florida team that moves with different speeds. At home, Todd Golden really wants his squad to push it a little more deliberate in road environments. Condon rejected by Okpara. Oh, but he's put it through the hoop through the first 2 minutes. And then a Florida steal, Walter Clayton Jr. Nifty move, and he draws the foul from Okpara.
Todd Golden was going berserk on the sidelines. Thought that was a goaltend as Condon had deep post position and one of the best blockers in the SEC. Okpara gets it right at the peak of the shot. But they hustle back, do the Gators, and Clayton jumps that passing lane. This is a Florida team. You've got to be careful with your perimeter passing because they love to jump passing lanes.
So it puts Walter Clayton Jr. at the free throw line, 8th best in the SEC at 86% from the line. He is 2nd in Florida history in career free throw percentage.
And Tom, it's such a tough cover when you're guarding Florida because they've got a 3-headed monster in the backcourt. And so I was interested to see who would Tennessee put Jemai Meshack on the perimeter. And they've lined him up against Clayton, against Zakai Ziegler, their best point guard defender out. They put Meshack, one of the best perimeter defenders you can find in the country, on Clayton to try to limit him.
Ziegler hadn't missed a game and barely missed a practice since his torn ACL a couple of years ago. He did not practice Thursday. He was present but not a participant yesterday. And Igor Milicic was also out of practice yesterday due to flu-like symptoms that never seemed to improve. Zakai gives him 34 minutes a game. Nobody in the SEC is on the floor more.
He does so much for this team, and if anything, Tennessee has been standing around watching Zakai Ziegler too much. They do not have that option, obviously, this game on offense.
Dubar gets into the paint, back rims it, finds his miss, and the push shot uses every bit of the rim to get in.
I think he could be huge for Tennessee today. This is a guy that has been in and out of the lineup and rotation, some inconsistent minutes, but they're going to have to let him play through some defensive mistakes.
Only 11 minutes a game for Darlinson Dubar, who Spent 3 years at Hofstra after a season at Iowa State.
Tom, the key for Dubar is you score on this end, make sure you don't give up 2 on the other end. It's the communication and guarding the ball on this end of the court where Rick Barnes must find more consistency from him.
3 minutes in, Florida hasn't made a field goal yet. Gators are 0 for 5. Here's a takeaway. Jordan Gainey rejected at the rim. No whistle. It'll be Tennessee basketball.
A terrific baseline out of bounds defense. They call that their hot defense, where they put a 5-man on the ball and they try to really make it tough. Excuse me, that's Dubar. And then here's Gainey, just makes an athletic play. Good hustle, great block.
It's stolen away by Condon. And he gets fouled at the rim. And the home crowd seen it through an orange lens, wondering why it was a foul on this end and not on the other. And that's his second on Felix Okpara. Remember, Tennessee already down to 7 scholarship guys.
And another turnover on a perimeter pass. And even the big men are going to jump those lanes, and got a hand in the back there. Condon gets himself to the free throw line, to the dismay of this crowd.
And now this is interesting because Rick Barnes is nearly automatic when you pick up 2 in the first half. His 2 foul participation ranks 330th in the country. And I had that conversation with him yesterday, and he said the numbers may say one thing. I'm not automatic, but I am old school. And so Okpara will take a seat just 3 minutes in, and Cade Phillips, who's been battling a left shoulder injury all season, takes over at the 5 spot.
And Tom, as much attention that's been on Tennessee's shooting from the outside and Chaz Lanier, Rick Barnes will tell you, we got to get more from our front court. Now Okpara, already a depleted front line, out with 2. They've got to manufacture paint points from their guards, getting into that lane, making some tough 2s.
Here's Gainey with Clayton trailing him. Wide left. Tennessee is an elite defensive team. They're second in the country in defensive efficiency. And they've held Florida to an 0 for 5 start with 1 turnover. Clayton, sidestep 3, drills it. Walter Clayton Jr. gives him 18 a game, and he's got 5 of the 6 for the Gators.
He plays with such a great tempo and confidence. It's tough to speed him up.
The answer is not there for Dubar, but an offensive rebound and a corner 3, and that's short. And a whistle inside. They'll go against the Gators.
Well, and that's where Rick Barnes just kind of shrugs his shoulders and says, hey, we got 2 good looks on that possession, including a wide open 3 on the recycled kickback out to Lanier. Sounds simple, but Tennessee must make shots, especially if they want this home court advantage to give them a +6 or +8 in this game. They've got to give these fans a reason to erupt.
Couldn't pull it off at home against Kentucky on Tuesday night. Tennessee hasn't lost back-to-back home games since 2020. Dubar gets deep. Little shake, and baby hook is good. Elijah Martin, he's turned into a reliable scorer for Florida. This is a dangerous Gator backcourt. 2-man game with Martin and Condon. Double comes on Condon. Rejected by Cade Phillips. He sent it to the Gatorade cooler. Last time these teams met, it was all Florida.
Big time help by Cade Phillips. Says, give me that, send that one back to Gainesville. But Tennessee struggling from deep, but their defense continues to keep them in the game against a red-hot Florida team.
Give you a history lesson in college basketball when we return. He said, man, we gave him some open shots, and Rick Barnes knows it too. He said, we just played really, really well that day.
I don't know what the shooting percentages were in those other historic losses, but I bet Tennessee won that one. 12 of 56 for 21%. More concerning for Tennessee after that was they lost the rebounding battle by 19, and that's where you're already seeing them be way more physical. They have 4 offensive rebounds early in this game themselves due to the Tennessee balls.
Contested jumper is an air ball from Lanier, but a putback is there. Tennessee doing just enough, doing the little things, and this thing is locked at 6. The shorthanded Volunteers against the 5th-ranked team in the country. Clayton off the screen. Got it. His second triple of the day.
He makes it look so easy, so smooth. And oftentimes, Tom, a guy that plays that smooth, you think, I don't know how good his motor is, but he just is so good. He plays with that sense of urgency.
Here's Gain. Gainey parting with Aberdeen trailing him. And a rare Meshack 3. Aberdeen with the rebound. Home crowd saw a walk. This is not a terribly deep Florida team. They only play 8 regularly. Here's Clayton. But Clayton's on the floor a ton. And with Martin and Aberdeen in the backcourt, they seem to have just enough.
Well, when Clayton comes off this ball screen, the 5-man has to bump him out more on this. Cade Phillips is way underneath the screen, and that's just way too much space. The scouting report says jump out, bump him, allow the guard to recover. Missed assignment on that one.
And now Gainey downhill, challenge at the rim. And the whistle will go against Florida. Ruben Chenyalu picks up his second.
This is one of those ways they've got to manufacture paint points. Come off that curl, seek the contact at the rim, because Tennessee does not have that traditional dump it down low type offensive presence the way they've had under Rick Barnes over the years, whether it's Grant Williams, Tobe Awaka, Olivier Kamwa even. I mean, but they just don't have that this year, and that's why you see a spread out offense trying to get the guards in the paint.
Another one coming for Jordan Gainey. We are loaded all day today. We'll stay in the SEC right after this. Chris Beard will try to knock off number 1 as Auburn heads to Oxford. That's a sellout. And Bill Self's team is on the road at Baylor. It builds towards Carolina Duke. And then John Calipari's return to Rupp. Gainey goes 1 of 2 from the line.
The Pavilion was already becoming one of the best places to see a game in the SEC. And now with Auburn in town, that place is going to be on fire.
Clayton through the elevator, and an illegal screen will go against Florida, trying to get Clayton free.
Well, Meshack's motor just never stops defensively. I mean, look at 15 and White. He is just going to continue to stay on him, fight through that. He gets detached, but then comes right through and gets the hip check. A lot of guys shy away from contact or try to go around that elevator screen. He busts right through it.
It was Richard who picked up the foul for Florida. Phillips turns it over, trying to thread the needle. Here comes Denzel Aberdeen of Florida. Gators 3rd in the country in offensive efficiency, going against the number 2 defensive efficiency team in the country, according to Ken Pom. Richard baseline, had it stripped from behind by Lanier. Meshack with a shake. Meshack takes it all the way. And here come the Gators the opposite direction. Aberdeen looking to get it inside. Felix Okpara playing with 2 personal fouls for Tennessee. Sam Alexis jump hook.
I think that's a good move for him. The transfer from UT Chattanooga has been in a reserve role, and they're going to ISO him in the post, but I think he's got some muscle on Felix Okpara. Nice jump hook.
Chaz Lanier has started this game 0 for 3, including 0 for 2 from deep. Phillips hesitated. Sounds obvious, but Tennessee is going to need a total team effort if they're to knock off Florida at home today.
Yeah, without question. And 0 for 6 from 3 right now. If they make a 3, this place is going to explode. And you're going to think a game winner just got shot in Knoxville. But that's how hungry this crowd is to see them make one from deep.
Alexis, another jump hook.
Yeah.
Got another one.
He's not traditionally a guy you send a double team at, but because of the weight advantage he has down there on Okpara, you got to at least bluff and get back if you're a perimeter defender.
You said make a 3. This is a Tennessee team that took 45 of them against Kentucky in the midweek loss to the Wildcats. They shot just 24% on uncontested, that is wide open jump shots. Meshack blows the bunny with contact. This has been a physical game inside the restricted area. Aberdeen spins it inside. Alexis to the corner for Clayton. Is this the tempo that Tennessee wants?
Well, given their lack of depth, probably not. I think Rick Barnes has to think about using more timeouts than he normally would just because of the fatigue factor.
The whistles are helping. That's another against Florida. Tennessee without Zakai Ziegler. Florida turning to Sam Alexis.
Florida has depth on the perimeter, and they've got depth in the front court. I mean, when you've got your backup five-man that you can dump the ball down to and get two solid jump hooks on the road, that's icing on the cake for the Gators.
Person Steve Orlando adding the Title IX office has closed its investigation. Golden said Thursday he was, quote, happy to put it behind him. He's been asked if any of that has interfered with the team and its focus on the court, and he's pointed out, like, we've had a fantastic season, 18-2. It has impacted the kids on the court not at all, not one iota. The two losses this season for Florida, both quad one losses. They lost on the road at Kentucky. They scored 100 in Rupp Arena and lost, and they dropped the game at home to Missouri that he admitted, and he reminded his team, we may have been reading the press clippings, got a little arrogant when Missouri came in and shot the lights out.
Well, from an X's and O's standpoint, Missouri, South Carolina gave them a run for their money as well. Both of those teams have big, strong front courts, and I think that's where you have to be able to match up with Florida. As good as their guards are, it's getting punked on the glass and in the paint. So far, as poor as Tennessee has shot the ball, that's what's kept them in this game. It's just 8 paint points for Tennessee.
One thing that has helped Tennessee in a major way, you mentioned the paint advantage Florida had in their first matchup, 41-4 in the paint. There's Gainey with the mid-range. Is that Tennessee has ripped down 5 offensive rebounds on their 12 misses.
And Gainey's gotten some good looks off some curl action. We saw him go all the way to the rim, that one with the pull-up jumper.
Alexis looking inside. This is a Florida team that nearly had a free agent acquisition. Micah Hamlogton, 7'1" junior, very nearly came back after the plan was to redshirt him after a broken leg in the SEC tournament last year. Logo 3 is off the mark, and Gainey has the rebound.
Much better job by the Tennessee front court there. Cade Phillips did not give up much ground on that Sam Alexis jump hook.
Beautiful feed from Phillips, and a whistle will give Aberdeen his first. Tuesday night's SEC Network men's doubleheader should be a great one. This Florida team is at home against a Vandy squad that is in the top 25 rankings. The first time in forever. And Oklahoma goes into the jungle to take on number 1 Auburn. Vandy ranked for the first time since December of 2015. Kevin Stallings was the head coach. They had Luke Cornett and scoring guard Wade Baldwin on that team. Rebound by Condon. That was a minute ago, huh?
Yeah, that was a Commodore team this season that was picked to finish last in the SEC, and all they do is win close games and stun people on their home court. Memorial Magic back in full effect.
Martin gets cut off. He's been quiet so far this afternoon. He had 18 in their first matchup. Shot clock in single digits again. Tennessee's harassing defense creates a takeaway. Boswell with the dump inside, and a whistle and a foul on Condon, his second. And Dubois going to the free throw line.
I cannot overstate the effort by Meshack. Look at these active hands. One deflection, ball pressure. Here's going to come to Boswell on the perimeter here. Look at Meshack, another deflection. He's not going to get a steal on that, but that was all him being the head of the snake defensively, active hands, never takes a possession off. And as great of a defender as he is, I know he's saying, hey, with my backcourt mate Zakai Ziegler out this game, I've got to have one of the greatest defensive efforts of my life, and he's doing it so far in this one.
Ziegler has been on the floor 34 minutes a game and has started every game this season. Elite defender, 11th in the country in assist rate. And he had missed a game since 2023 when he tore his ACL. Tennessee went 3-3 without him to close that season. 3-minute scoring drought for Florida. Aberdeen trying to get things started. Houck nearly lost it. Once again, really late in the shot clock for this Gators team. Aberdeen contested triple and a foul on the floor. And the interior will go against Cade Phillips. Florida's stars are not playing like it here early on. Walter Clayton Jr. 2 for 9 from the floor. Richard hasn't taken a shot. And Martin is 0 for 1. Here's Houck with the kick out. Elijah Martin for 3. Over the top of the backboard for the second time and out of bounds.
Tom, I think a lot of that could be attributed to just the constant ball pressure on the perimeter by Tennessee. Florida loves to operate their offense through their bigs, and they'll do dribble handoffs to their guards and force you to get hit by one of those big screens and recover. And Tennessee has not been in rotation hardly at all defensively, which is a good sign for Vols.
Early three, good! Chaz Lanier's first make of the game. First lead of the game for Tennessee. And the Rocky Top crowd getting into it. Drive falls off for Martin. Dubar working on Houck. Fadeaway push shot. Tough angle. Meanwhile, Tennessee's defense has turned up the heat. The Gators have missed their last 6. Bishop Boswell, and the freshman feeds it up court. Dubar gets stuck underneath. And Tennessee has finally put one in from deep. No Zakai Ziegler, but Chaz Lanier picking up the slack.
Yeah, going back to last game through this one, they were 11 of their last 52 from 3. Unheard of. Chaz Lanier says, get that lid off the rim. Wake up, Rocky Top. Let's see if we can get revenge.
Like March now with all these big games today, including Calipari returning to Rupp Arena, took his team on the floor last night for shoot around and gathered them around, and he said this is a special place. Some of you know it, some of you played here. He returned with 3 players who played in a Kentucky uniform last year, where he won the national championship in 2012. And he said wins here just hit harder, they mean more. And he's got guys that won games there.
He said, I'm going to coach fearless. You better play fearless. And that's the attitude you must have in Rupp Arena.
I think that's when teams get the best out of John Calipari as a head coach, is when it doesn't happen very often, when the deck is stacked against him and he's got a chip on his shoulder. Tennessee's defense has been stifling once again today. They've held Florida 24% shooting in the first 13 and a half minutes. Here's Elijah Martin. A great game in the first matchup. Florida won by 30. Denial on the wing by Lanier.
They're guarding the ball so well, and that time it's Boswell who's getting extended playing time with Ziegler out, and he does a great job knowing that Martin wants to drive hard right at the rim. He kept cutting off that hand. Eventually led to a deflection by Lanier and a short shot clock.
What do you think of the Meshack on Clayton matchup?
Meshack's a tough one there, man, but so is Clayton. And good job by Clayton not settling with a pull-up 3. Prior to that shot, 7 of his 9 attempts had been from beyond the arc.
It was the first field goal for Florida in over 5 minutes of game action. They keep trailing that screen. Lanier can't take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think that last shot was in his head because that was a pretty good look for him.
Bishop Boswell, freshman, getting some run. Was Zakai Ziegler out? Tees one up. Chinyelu rips it down. Florida's 18-2 on the season, 5-2 in the best conference in college basketball. Sloppy offensively here this afternoon, but I feel like with the play of so many of the elite teams in the SEC, starting with number 1 Auburn, stepped on the end line as he tried to save it. The Florida's kind of flown under the radar to this point nationally.
They have. I think some of that was in the non-conference. They had done really well, but they wanted to say, hey, could they beat some of the top teams in conference play? And, man, they sent a message last time Tennessee went to Gainesville But Tennessee has gotten the message in the film room. This has been an ugly game, and I think that serves Tennessee well. Low scoring without Igor Milicic and Ziegler, of course.
Phillips with the spin move goes right into Houck. Tennessee had a rock fight. Meshack saves it. Phillips is there. Tennessee coming off of a rock fight a week ago against Auburn and played the #1 team in the country tough on that nearly unwinnable home court in the jungle. Here's Gainey. Floater. Not there. A push ahead by Richard. Got deep and converts.
I think that's one area Florida has been able to make Tennessee pay more in transition, whereas Tennessee's second chance opportunities, whether it's transition, not converting at the free throw line, finishing through contact, has been the difference so far.
Houck all over Phillips and picks up a foul 23 feet from the basket.
Here's Florida as they lead Tennessee 5-0 in fast break points, which is a big number in a low-scoring game, as the Vols have not been able to convert as effectively on this end.
That is the 7th team foul on Florida, and it puts Cade Phillips at the free throw line. 55% free throw shooter for the 4-star recruit out of Jacksonville, Alabama. And misses the front end. Elijah Martin left it short. Martin hasn't made a bucket. Will Richard has only made one. It's been Walter Clayton Jr. carrying the Gators here early on. He's got 10 of their 17.
For Tennessee, I think Gainey off the ball has been their best offense. Try to get him coming off some of those down screens.
Meshack turn around, rolls it home.
And he can get some paint touches for Tennessee because defenders are playing off of him, not respecting his threat from deep, but he can punish them with that extra gap.
Houck lets it fly from the top of the key. Shot it with confidence, and it pinballs into the hands of Lanier. Gainey usually gives Tennessee about 27 minutes a game playing in the backcourt, sometimes and often alongside Zakai Ziegler.
Don't forget one of the best wins Tennessee has on the season at Illinois, where Gainey stepped up in Ziegler's absence, was the hero in that one.
Hit the game winner. A road win for Tennessee. Florida clinging to a 1-point lead on the road at Rocky Top.
Well, not too many offensive highlights in this one early, and here's Clayton going to take Meshack, one of the best defenders in the country, off the bounce, and that's just a tough 2 floater. Good defense, better offense by Clayton.
Why is it? Why have we had such a slow start offensively? We know Tennessee can make games ugly because they're an elite defensive team. That's their calling card.
Well, I think a lot of it has been contested threes so far. Rarely have you seen a couple clean looks. And what happens when you have that much attention on the perimeter, when you are open, you're almost surprised and you can hurry your shot a little bit. But I think for Tennessee, you're also looking at a team right now that's just losing some confidence on the offensive end. But credit them. Most teams, when their offense isn't going, it hurts their defense, and they get emotionally attached to that. That is not the case with Tennessee.
Clayton can't knock it down, and after the offensive rebound, a foul on Meshack. What a difference in the 2 matchups. January 7th, Tennessee made a total of 12 field goals the entire game. In the first half, 4 for 29 and 0 for 14. They've already eclipsed that point total.
Yeah, not a whole lot prettier. What's been prettier for Tennessee is, as Coach Passer said in studio, they've shown way more fight on the offensive glass and in the paint and the perimeter than they did down in Gainesville.
Chenyulu gets a paint touch.
Yeah, that's 6
right
points.
after Okpara.
Yeah, I mean, that's a crucial 6 points. Alexis had 2 jump hooks, and then he gets one there. Okpara might need a little bit of a double team down low. He's given up some size on the interior.
And remember, Okpara picked up his second personal just 3 minutes into the game. It's a first on Elijah Martin.
I mean, a lot of this is 260 pounds versus 235 pounds. And so I just feel like even though there's a lot of perimeter threats on the outside, I'm not saying double, but at least bluff, make him think about it. Maybe he picks up the ball a little bit earlier instead of having the luxury of time to just back you down with no resistance.
So Jordan Gainey at the free throw line for Tennessee. 80% from the line on the season.
I liked earlier this year, there was an interview where they asked Zakai Ziegler, all right, if you're in trouble or your car breaks down, who you calling first? He said, oh, Gainey. He on the way already. Well, Zakai's in trouble right now, and Gainey's on the way. He's had a really underrated first half at the point guard spot.
It was a hyperextended knee for Zakai Ziegler in the first half of the Kentucky game. He came back and played the second half. Missed 2 days of practice, is unavailable today. I think it's right if you're a Tennessee fan to wonder just how quickly that knee will improve. A midweek game against Missouri coming up. Good hands by Tennessee. It's another volunteer takeaway. Volunteers looking for the lead again. Kick to the corner, wide open three. Not a great Tennessee shooting team. I mentioned this before. They made just 24% of open jumpers against Kentucky. Oh, what a rejection. Quick hops inside. Another block, this time by Phillips. And Tennessee comes out of the scrum with the basketball. Chaz Lanier, transition three. Tennessee's got the lead. After hitting snooze a couple of times, the building has finally come alive in this Saturday afternoon. And a whistle away from the play, and an injury in the corner for Florida. That's Walter Clayton Jr. And just like Tennessee can ill afford to lose the minutes they've lost from Zakai Ziegler, Florida feels the same about Walter Clayton Jr. John Michelini is the Florida athletic trainer. He was quick to get to that far corner for Walter Clayton Jr., the senior from Lake Wales, Florida. He transferred in from Iona and leads the SEC in 25-point games. He's got 6 of them.
That is not a good sign for Florida. One of the best point guards in the SEC, 18 points, 4 assists. And when he jumps in the air to pass, he just comes down on the defender's foot.
Looks like left ankle?
Yeah, turns that left ankle.
Well, Tennessee has been delivering blow after blow, and Florida has been able to fight back, but I think it's probably just in human nature for Florida, and this coaching staff has had to remind them, yeah, they were number one and you beat them by 30, but we're going into their house. They're going to give you a fight today.
You're exactly right, Tom. I mean, in the film room, Florida showed clips of the last game, diving for loose balls, offensive rebounds, and said, this is how we're going to win this game, and be prepared for a greater battle from Tennessee. And it has not been pretty, but this is a Florida team that ranks 3rd in the country in offensive efficiency. And so for Tennessee to do this right now without Zakai Ziegler and Igor Milicic has been really impressive.
Aberdeen's put his head down, drove to the rim. Cade Phillips picks up his second. So Denzel Aberdeen will see more playing time with Clayton on the bench. 5 starters for Florida played 25 minutes plus apiece.
And this is a guy that was really big against Tennessee. I know it was a blowout, but he had 16 points in their last matchup. Dangerous 6-man threat.
Tomorrow afternoon, really good ACC women's matchup on ESPN2. Hannah Hidalgo, number 3 Notre Dame, head to Louisville to take on the 14-6 Cardinals, who are 7-2 in ACC play. Irish undefeated at 8-0. Coverage begins at noon Eastern. Aberdeen knocks them both down, tied at 21. Tennessee only 2 for its last 10. They get the ball across the timeline. Florida brings a double. Here's a lob, and Phillips the flush. It's an aspect of Tennessee's offense that is MIA when Zakai Ziegler is on the off the court. But that one worked, and now Martin leaves it short. Rebounded by Gainey. Shot clock is off. Tennessee down to 7 scholarship players playing without 2 starters, Igor Milicic and Zakai Ziegler. And they're hanging with the 5th-ranked team in the country. Tennessee with a 2-point lead on number 5 Florida.
Cade Phillips doing what he does best, catching lob dunks.
What do you like on this play for Tennessee with 12 seconds left?
You know, it's hard because you need another primary ball handler. But again, I really like Gainey when he's off the ball, coming off some of those curl screens. If not him, then find something for Chaz Lanier running off some screens.
Lanier has made 2 threes in his first half. He's 2 for 5. He is lurking on the right side. Here's his touch. Got attention on him. Go inside to Phillips. He draws the foul. And he'll be going to the free throw line. It's number 2 on Elijah Martin. Foul trouble might be an issue for the Gators in the second half. They have 3 starters with 2 apiece.
Well, and miscommunication by Florida. I thought they were there defensively on Lanier, but they had 2 guys run out at him because he's such a threat from 3. And that opened it up for Cade Phillips, where they need him to convert here. Tennessee just 3 of 7 from the stripe here in the first half.
Phillips 0 for 2 from the free throw line. Tennessee just 4 for 9 from the free throw line in this half. Tennessee defense has been elite. Florida season low in first half points was 28 at Arkansas back on January 11th. And the Volunteers have locked them down today. Here's Aberdeen. All the way to the rim. Nobody stops him, but he can't quite finish. Ball's in the half on an 8-2 run. They're without Zakai Ziegler. Florida maybe without Walter Clayton Jr. That is a big loss for the Gators. Not a great shooting output for either team, but the defense lockdown for Tennessee. And the Volunteers with a 3-point.
Defense was, though, Tom. I don't know that Tennessee can win this game if they think this is going to be scored in the 40s.
Yep.
I mean, they've got to be able to put up at least 30-plus and get in the high 50s, low 60s if they're going to keep Florida at bay.
One reason for Tennessee's effectiveness on the defensive end, they made Florida use the shot clock 6 times. Florida put up a shot with under 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Star players going in different directions. Chaz Lanier started 0 for 3, made 2 of his last 3, and Walter Clayton started 3 for 5. They just 1 of his last 6. So here we go, second half in the top 10 showdown, Florida and Tennessee. Elijah Martin kicks to the corner. Alex Condon is off the mark, and Felix Okpara gets harassed into nearly turning it over. What's your take on Jordan Gainey's play at the point guard position?
I think he's been really solid. You look at the stat sheet, 1 of 7, but that doesn't tell the story. I think he's ran the offense well, got to the free throw line 4 times, which they've got to have. Nice backdoor cut.
Pass, too, and a layup for Jordan Gainey. Largest lead of the game for Tennessee at 5.
Yeah, his off-ball cutting has been elite so far in this game.
Three is short, and it gets kicked out of bounds. It'll stay with Florida, though.
Well, if you're going to deny Gainey the ball coming back here, they call it kind of top blocking. You've got to have a pressure release, and that's it right there. Good read by Gainey. A great one-hand backdoor pass by Dubar.
Condon finds it. Step through. There's been a lid on that rim for the Gators, huh?
Yeah, that's a good look for Florida. They'll live with that one.
Gainey nearly lost control of it. Here's Lanier. Florida gets it out of his hands quickly. Okpara jump hook. Felix Okpara with his first bucket of the game. Tennessee up by a touchdown now. It's a 37-point swing for the first time these teams met. Clayton with Meshack on him. Ball fake got him in the air. Tennessee elite three-point defense, one of the best in the country. In fact, the best from a percentage standpoint. Gainey around the screen, pull up. 15-footer is good, and Tennessee on a roll. Todd Golden needing a Florida timeout. Zakai Ziegler, a happy spectator. His Volunteers lead by 9.
Well, I think Gainey may be their best ball screen offensive threat because he can pull up from mid-range 3 or at the rim. Great read by 11 and White. Dunks to Okpara. They've got to add that. No surprise they get a deep one there here against Florida.
Not all paint touches are created equal, even though the impact may be equal. Zakai Ziegler, as a driver, can create paint touches too when he's on the floor. He's not available today.
And one of the things teams are trying to take away is when Ziegler or a guard drives, they say, don't let Okpara get behind you because the lob dunk is coming. So they've got to add what we just showed you there to their arsenal.
Tennessee on a 14-2 run, and Thomas Houck says, I can get us back into it. He's coming off of a double-double against Georgia.
I love watching Houck play. Just a tough cover for Dubar because he's going to give up a lot of size. That's an aggressive drive through contact and one for a much-needed basket for the Florida Gators.
Dubar had his hand on his back. And a three-point play for Houck.
Tennessee got a lob dunk last time when Florida showed a little bit of that pressure set.
Is the ball less sticky with Ziegler on the bench? Oh, it goes in. A little bit of luck helps. Credit Okpara if he got a fingertip on that one.
Good point, Tom. I do think they're not deferring to the point guard.
And a jam on the other side for Condon.
Starting to get a little bit of rhythm to this game for the first time.
Here's Gainey. Okpara guarded by Condon. They swing it the other way and get a foul against Florida. Take a look at this missed lob attempt. The throw comes from behind the arc. If it's not touched, it would be a 3, but I believe Okpara got a fingertip on it.
Yeah, Okpara, he lives above the rim, and he has, he struggles catching the ball sort of on the interior, but the lob dunks is where he's really had the majority of his points this season.
Transferred in from Ohio State, played 2 seasons with the Buckeyes. Handoff for Gainey. And he gets fouled on the jump shot. And another Florida foul. This one comes with 7 seconds left on the shot clock.
Gainey is so good with the ball screens, and when you have a defender that sags off, watch Condon 21 and kind of this drop coverage, that's not going to work against him. I mean, he smells blood if you're not going to come up and try to either double team him or get on top of that screen.
Another one coming for Gainey. Here's our NBA Saturday primetime matchup on ABC and the ESPN app. Dalton Connect and the Lakers play the 5th of a 6-game road trip at the Garden against Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. Our coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Best transfer in college basketball last year. Connect got tossed against the Wizards a couple nights ago.
He's already starting to act like a pro.
SEC Player of the Year. Shot clock at 15. Knocked away from Clayton. They'll take the shot clock into single digits. Cannon whistles it to Martin for 3. Parra secures the board. The 19-16 Florida lead in the first half, and then the Volunteers went to work. A Lanier 3, a big part of this run. Mashack off the glass. He's got a half dozen. Tennessee leads by 10.
That's all Parra clogging up the lane, shielding the help defender.
The reach in will go against Tennessee. And they get Gainey for his first.
Take a look at Parra down low here. He's going to keep his man off on trying to post up, but it's really a fake screen. Keeps the defender from coming over for that rim protection.
Gators having a hard time solving this Tennessee defense. They've missed 11 straight threes. Aberdeen is able to draw a whistle. That seemingly is the only thing that has worked for Florida's offense. It's number 2 on Mashack. Felix Okpara's flexing his muscles. He's getting it done on both ends of the court.
And Tennessee starting to get some sort of rhythm offensively here in the second half. This time it's Okpara clearing space. Mashack shows I'm also an offensive threat. Completely different team.
They are in a big way. You know, Coach Barnes is coaching with a heavy heart. He lost his older brother Tommy this week back in Hickory. Tommy was a great brother, and they had incredible stories growing up in small town North Carolina, not the least of which was when Rick was in the hospital as a youngster, had his appendix taken out. He got a little restless. He called home. He said, "Tommy, come get me. I'm ready to leave the hospital." So Tommy rode his bike down. Rick walked right out of the hospital, jumped on the bike. They went home. Nobody knew Barnes had left, and the family never got a bill for the hospital stay. Oh, what a lovely family. And Tommy was as big a Tennessee basketball fan out there as there was.
All was okay with that story until the nation just heard it, and penalties and interest piled up.
Don't doubt the healthcare industry. Yeah. They went looking for that file. Clayton got a screen, but couldn't convert. Just coughed it up. Bar up to Mashack. Tennessee not just playing without Zakai Ziegler today, they're also without Igor Milicic, who gives them 27 minutes a game in the starting role. But Parra able to find it. Going to work on Condon. Nice touch by the big fella. This is a Tennessee team that doesn't use its bench much, forced to do it tonight. They're 331st in the country in bench minutes. Houck for 3. Nothing working for Florida today. They missed 12 straight threes. A whistle on the reach in. Mashack fumbles it. Okpara picks it up, and he gets a call after Condon picked up his third.
Just really patient, good spacing here by Tennessee and Mashack. We mentioned earlier, I think he can really help get some of that penetration because teams are not recovering on him. They don't respect his three-point shot, even though he is capable, but he does a good job just catching it on the go, and that becomes tough to defend as well.
Last year was a 6-point, 6-rebound performer for Ohio State. They had a nice run in the NIT. Okpara from Lagos, Nigeria, came to the United States in August of 18. And was a 4-star recruit. Goes 2-2. He was a soccer player before he moved to the States. 12-point Tennessee lead.
They are 6 of 6 and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. 0 3-point attempts. I think the message from Coach Barnes was turn down the threes. Let's get to the rim.
Yeah, that's the second half numbers. Houck. Parr was on the floor. He picks up the foul. He said, "I was shoved to the floor." Meanwhile, the Florida backcourt lauded as one of the best in the SEC and therefore the country has struggled. Clayton has given them 10 points, but it's taken them 12 shots. Elijah Martin scoreless at 0 for 7, and Richards only taken 1 shot.
Martin and Richard are really going to have to step up because Clayton is not 100%. We saw him go out with that left ankle roll in the first half, sucking it up here in the second, but they've got to find some more balance there offensively. That's what makes you think this is a Florida team that can go to the Final Four, Tom, is because they're so balanced on the interior and on the perimeter. We're not seeing it here this afternoon. Large credit due to Tennessee's ferocious, relentless defense. It's been sensational.
Houck 1 and 2. That was the third, by the way, on Aparo. To your point about no threes, every Tennessee field goal in the second half, all 6 of them have come in the paint. Touch pass. Here's a 3. Lanier wide open. Florida is a Final Four favorite. I think it's always fascinating. I shouldn't say favorite, but a possible Final Four team. Phillips with the foul. When things aren't going well, if it's a first-round game and a game that you're favored and you can't seem to get it, how do you fix it? And usually that answer is you give that ball to your superstar and let him go to work.
Yeah, and they've got multiple options, and I like what they've done there, just getting it down low to Condon. And earlier before the game, we talked to a Maryville, Tennessee native and Florida Gator legend Lee Humphrey, who does radio. And I talked to Lee Humphrey. I said, look, you guys don't have Al Horford or Joakim Noah down low, but does it remind you a little bit of your old Florida teams that won back-to-back national titles? He said, yeah, like even the depth and rotation and the shooters we had on the perimeter, and nobody better than that. When you had Lee Humphrey on the perimeter, that made life so much easier for everybody on the inside. And I spent many of my years here in Knoxville walking around with everybody saying, why aren't you Lee Humphrey? Why didn't we sign that guy?
I think it's a fair question, actually. The beard belies the baby face for Humphrey. He still holds the NCAA tournament record for made threes. Meshack into the orange. Miss at the rim, and Clayton getting dirty to save it. Condon lost it on the drive. They're going to get a reach in on Phillips, and that is number 4.
And Rick Barnes pretty upset with that call. They've got to try to clean up.
They got it on Gainey. It's his second.
And I think they're trying to clean up the hand checks and the freedom of movement, but this seems to be one. It looks like they got Gainey on the swipe. At first, I thought they called it on Phillips, and that would have been one you could call every possession if you wanted to. But it was Gainey over the top. And you see how much Florida likes to play through their bigs, whether it's in the post or on that elbow. And right now, I think the Florida bigs are having to be one-on-one players more than distributors. And that's why their offense has been so good, more of being a distributor, dribble handoffs.
Walter Clayton is still trying to get right. He's been tended to off the Florida bench, and it looks like he's now on a bike trying to get loose. Late in the first half, turned his ankle on a jump shot. Here's Lanier. Probes has nothing. Meshack will set it up. Lanier off the screen. They go the opposite way to Gainey. Shot clock at 2. Gainey, he got it! Jordan Gainey with his first 3 of the game. He's got 14. And the Tennessee lead is 13. Contested. Houck tip no. Offensive rebound and a kick out. Aberdeen will try again. In traffic. Got a whistle.
Well, Gainey's, we've seen what he can do with his off-ball cuts, and then if you give him a ball screen, he just reads that help defender so well and knows it's late in the clock and says, I'm just going to do a step-back 3 here. And that's a big-time shot. And if that misses, oftentimes, especially if your point guard shoots that corner 3, look at all the white jerseys in the paint. If that misses, that usually leads to a transition bucket for Florida. Big-time make there by Gainey.
got one more coming. Jordan Gainey, a 1,400-point scorer. He has upped his shooting from last year to this year, and his points per game have gone from under 7 to nearly 11. And he is perfect in the second half, 3 for 3. Aberdeen 1 for 2 from the line. All of his points have come from the charity stripe. Boswell on the floor now for Tennessee. Still no Walter Clayton Jr. for Florida. Much has been made of the SEC's dominance in the non-conference and elite play in the league. But don't take it for granted that great teams haven't had to survive without their great players. Auburn had to do it without Janai Broome, most notably.
Tennessee not exactly thrilled to get Auburn and Florida both coming off their bye weeks where they did have a midweek game. That helped Broome get ready for Tennessee on that big win.
Dig down from Dubar, and it turns into a blocked shot. Got Houck hurried up. Tennessee leads by a dozen. Gainey founds a wide open Dubar. Tennessee just 3 for 16 from behind the arc. Deep pass into Houck. And a push for Sam Alexis. He's got a half dozen.
Really good job by Houck. Burying Gainey down low. That created the advantage for Florida.
These SEC teams who have kept their head above water without their star players, because Auburn's not the only one. Tennessee won't be the only one to ask to do it. Kentucky's without Lamont Butler, the starting point guard. And defensive mastermind Lanier with his third three. How do you survive without an elite player?
Well, I think everybody rallies. It's by committee. And when you're without a guy like Sakai Ziegler, the head of the snake, it's kind of like a quarterback that goes out, and all of a sudden the offensive line starts blocking just a little bit better to give the backup quarterback more time. And I think it's been a team effort here led by Jordan Gainey.
Alexis left it short. They dominated Tennessee in the paint, had 40 points in the paint in their first meeting. By the way, that matchup was the first time Tennessee and Florida met as top 10 opponents, and they do it twice in the same season. Three ball. It's again no good. And then Richard loses it across the end line. Florida led this game in the first half. It has been all Tennessee in the second half. 22-12 since the intermission. And Chaz Lanier setting them up and knocking them down. He used 3 for 7 for deep, and the Volunteers shooting 50% from behind the arc since the break.
That helped get Tennessee more efficient on the offensive end, and a tale of two halves. I think a lot of that's been the healthy dose of 2-point shots versus settling from 3.
More than half of Tennessee's points in this game have come in the paint, 24 of 46. Bishop Boswell has spelled Gainey at the point and provided very valuable rest for him. Was Ziegler unavailable due to that hyperextended knee today? Lanier off balance. Here's Phillips. Second chance. Boswell. Opara on the glass again. 2 offensive rebounds for Tennessee in this trip alone.
They are doing to Florida what Florida usually does to their opponents.
Opara got a little sloppy with that one. Tennessee turnover. Inside. And a miss at the rim from Condon. That has been an issue for Florida in this one. Gainey on the floor for it. Florida is just 4 for 11 at the rim in this game. Still no Walter Clayton Jr. on the floor for the Gators. Tennessee, comfortable running clock. Boswell couldn't get anybody open, though, and it's a block by Richard.
But that's where Rick Barnes will say that's not on Boswell, that's on Lanier. The play is for him. He's got to show more fight in getting off some of that top block denial coverage.
And Walter Clayton Jr. returning.
So they want to get number 2 and White the ball, and he's denied here. He's got to find a way to either back cut, come off some other screens, but he can't just stay hidden in that corner. And I know he's not Dalton Connect, 2 different players, but you look at a year ago, Dalton Connect would say, fine, forget it. I can't get it where I want. I'll come all the way out to almost half court if I got to get the ball, especially late in the shot clock, because I'm the best scorer. I'm the best option for our team.
Here's Martin. That one was halfway home. It's been that kind of half for Florida. Now 2 for 20 from 3, including 13 straight misses. Well, their worst 3-point shooting games in quite a while. Here's Lanier. And took it to the rim and drew the foul. The last 3-point game this bad was in 23 for Florida against Vandy. They went 2 for 20.
I think it'll be more applause than boos. And if I'm a Kentucky fan, I don't know, if an opposing player to opposing coach gets a little more motivated off of boos, then maybe sit on the boos, right?
I don't think we have seen coaches go back to their previous school and get greeted in the rudest of fashions. Chris Beard went back to Texas Tech, even when Pitino came back with Louisville.
And time can heal a lot of wounds, but it's only been like 6 months.
That's right.
So, and it's the first time seeing each other.
11 now for Chaz Lanier. Tennessee with a 15-point advantage.
This might be the shocker of the day, right? I mean, you got no Zakai Ziegler, no Igor Milicic, a Florida team that manhandled and absolutely smacked Tennessee in the Vols' worst performance of the year, and yet here the Volunteers are up 15 against one of the nation's best offenses that can't find anything.
Meshack to save. Phillips touch pass. Gets it back. What a move by Tennessee. And the sequence extends the lead to 17. Gators just not working today. I think this changes nationally how people are going to think about Tennessee, because now this squad looks more like the team that was the last undefeated team in the nation and rose to #1 in the polls versus the team that had lost 3 of its last 4 and started 500 in conference play.
We're seeing the complementary basketball to where it's not just great defense. They're getting some offensive rhythm. That's when they look like a Final Four team.
Why not? Banks close. Takpara. With the follow. The energy for Tennessee is unmatchable. They are feeding off of this big orange crowd. Contested 2 for Denzel Aberdeen, his first field goal of the game. 6:30 to play in regulation. This thing's been all Tennessee.
And how about this effort? Gets the deflection steal. What a give and go to finish the fast break. I tell you, Jemai Meshack playing against this guy defensively is like taking your kids to an escape room. There's no chance. You are locked up, and you are not getting out until you call for help.
I sense some frustration on your behalf.
Yeah, because I didn't have the answer there. Dad doesn't know the clues either.
But I'll blame the kids. To help solve it. Here's Lanier. He's got the answers. And when he is going, this is a different Tennessee team. In their 4 losses this year, he has scored only 13 points on 33% shooting. Houck puts it on the floor. Phillips got 2 hands on him. Picks up his 4th.
Maybe the most underrated part of this game will be Chaz Lanier regaining his confidence as a shooter. That's how Rick Barnes wants him to come off the screen. Did you see the speed he came with curling off that? Shot ready. That's the preparation. When he does that, he looks like Klay Thompson for the Vols. It's when he gets a little lackadaisical coming off those cuts that it really has a downward effect on the offense.
Thomas Houck, the 6'9" sophomore from New Oxford, Pennsylvania, at the free throw line. Now, what is next for Zakai Ziegler? How soon can he get back on the court for Tennessee?
Ask this guy.
Yeah. Chad
buddy,
Newman,
Chad
their head
Newman.
athletic trainer.
As Chad Newman, did he get his first telly?
I think so.
Yeah. It's been many a nights with and long hours in the training room. He was there till 9:30 last night with Zakai, trying to get him comfortable, ready to go, and just the soreness that he had after that hyperextension didn't feel right.
Again. And drills it again. Chaz Lanier with 5 threes. He is the Lanier of old. Clayton rejected. And Opara was out of bounds. You've created a monster, by the way, Dane Bradshaw. Now every athletic trainer is going to say, where's my telestration?
Well, I'm sure they would be just fine saying, I don't need to tell you. I just want a full, healthy squad so coach is off my back.
A Tennessee team that has had to deal with injuries and desertions. Walter Clayton Jr. will inbound it. Florida basketball. Gators can put together some runs. They had one against Wichita State where they scored 27 straight. Clayton folded up again.
And he slipped over there, and you just have to wonder if during a timeout, did they have some water bottles over there or something leaked? Because
Todd Golden might be thinking, we got 5 minutes and 20 seconds, get back on the plane and go back to Gainesville.
Didn't trip over anybody, just
no. It's his left foot. It was his left ankle that he turned.
Was coming kind of sideways on it, but must have had something wet there on the court as well. Hopefully didn't make anything worse, but you're right. I think that's the last we see of him. No reason to put him in at this point. If you're Todd Golden.
Gators get a ranked Vanderbilt team at home midweek.
Tom, the frustrating part there as well is Florida was a little bit banged up. They didn't have the midweek game. We talked about their bye week, and Todd Golden said, that was really good. It's just the normal mid-conference nicks and bruises that you have, and we feel 100% for the most part coming into this game. And now no more bye weeks, and your floor general is on a bad left ankle.
Lanier hounded by Richard. He shook him, and great recovery by Will Richard. Richard flips it outside. Elijah Martin drills his first bucket of the game. And that ends a long three-point skid for Florida. Just their third make in 22 attempts. Here's Lanier again. He is taken over here in the second half. Tennessee put up 45 threes in their loss to Kentucky on Tuesday night. 45.
Well, Rick Barnes was asked after the game by the media, do you think your team's a good enough three-point shooting team to take 45 in a game? And he said no. So I think the fact that they have not taken the bait as often, you still got to look for your shot. But I think it's more about, can you get those inside out and the after ball reversals?
It was their most ever attempted in an SEC game, second most ever in school history. Houck no. Par of the board.
And I think right now the Florida bigs are taking the bait. I know it's desperation mode, but to me, the Florida bigs have taken too many shots in one-on-one play by design by Tennessee. They've kind of said, hey, we're going to take away your guards and see if your bigs can beat us one-on-one. They've got to find a way to do more of those dribble handoffs that have made them such an efficient offense this season.
Gainey steps into a three. Tennessee 50% from the floor in the second half. After shooting is 38% overall. Aberdeen fouled by Gainey. It's a third on Gainey. Zakai Ziegler, unable to play, not unable to support his team. He's the biggest cheerleader they got. Jemai Meshack, a defensive wizard. And Chaz Lanier has come alive on the offensive end. It all leads to an 18-point Tennessee lead.
Dane in Knoxville.
All right, Alan, thanks. I was thinking it's got 18 from Curtis Jones in that loss. In fact, they lost 2 out of 4. 18-point lead for Tennessee here on their home court, and to the free throw line is Denzel Aberdeen. It doesn't make sense, the result that we've seen to this point, in a lot of different ways, but not the least of which is Tennessee averages 11 turnovers a game. They have lost one of the best point guards in the country. They're facing a good defensive team, and they've turned it over 6 times in this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was what you just saw right there. Finishing the possession with a defensive rebound. They have kept Florida to just 10 offensive rebounds. They averaged right around 41% of offensive rebounding rate. They've been less than 30 in this game.
Meshack has been magnificent. Lanier goes baseline for the jam. 19 for Chaz Lanier. Better than his season average.
I think a big thing, too, in this game is Tennessee's defense allowed them to stay in it when their offense struggled.
Yep.
And then as the offense clicked in the second half, this home court advantage really ignited them.
3 ball for Elijah Martin. He's got a couple now. Tennessee has won 55 of its last 60 home games. And they're looking to move to 7-1 all-time at home against top 10 opponents. And that would put Rick Barnes at 4-0 at home against a top 10 opponent. Tennessee will go to 6-4 in quad 1 games. Tapped away. Haupt comes up with it. Ends up in a corner 3. 4 for 25 from 3.
Take a look here at Okpara. He's going to seal right there, and that creates the driving lane for Lanier. And they call that a highway screen. I've never asked why, but I think it's because, hey, I want you clear enough space to where we can go as fast as possible to the rim like we're on the highway. Fair?
Yeah, unless it's, a highway around here that's got construction still going on for the last 25 years. Lanier scored the last 8 for Tennessee. Gainey wanted a whistle. Gainey again gets stuck under the rim. John Sevier Highway is not exactly the most fluid, not quite the Autobahn, is it?
Well, there's quite the population increase around here.
Walter Clayton Jr. has spent a good chunk of this game on the bench, and more improvements coming to building an entire complex just across the river. There'll be a pedestrian bridge that connects this arena to that complex. There it is. Why not? South Knoxville needs some love.
Yep. And then I think they're trying to see if it hit the rim to reset the shot clock here. I thought it did. There goes up.
I want to point out a difference in the way games are officiated with regard to review college football versus college basketball. In college football, if it's not going to impact the result of the game, they move on. For example, if you have a blowout, it's a 50-point lead, we're not going to go to review yardage or inbounds or out of bounds. However, college basketball made a decision years ago, especially with the proliferation of sports betting, that they don't let stuff go because they don't ever want to be in a position where their officials are accused of, well, you didn't make that call when the line was X and that was a cover or a non-cover. So I understand we all get frustrated by the monitor reviews. It's by design to continue to officiate the game, even if the outcome has generally been determined.
Well said. Thank you for the education.
Yep, that's what I'm here for. That and try to get you and your kids out of an escape room.
Well, we said at halftime, Tom, I didn't think Tennessee was going to be able to put up another 24-point half and win this game in the 40s. And their offense did get better. But what's made this a thing of beauty for Rick Barnes in the second half is their defense has been just as good here in the second half. I mean, to hold Florida, again, a top 5 offense in the country to just 44 points, it has got to be one of the best defensive performances Rick Barnes has had in a long time.
Here's Gainey at the glass. Jordan Gainey's got 16. This is a Florida team that scores 85.3 points a game. Last year they set a school record with 85.6, and they're going to be held to nearly half that today. Gainey the board. Fewest points for Florida since their loss to UCF in the 23 NIT. They lost 67-49. Gainey downhill, lob, flush, and an exclamation point for Big Orange. This is a 50-point turnaround from their previous matchup. Home court rules in the SEC. Contested three is in and out. Florida's going to finish this game 4 for 27 from 3. Great crowd on hand tonight. Today, I should say, in Knoxville, and I'm getting ready to send you to a sold-out crowd in Oxford, Mississippi for a big SEC showdown. Here's Meshack. And that'll be the end of this one. This will be the 6th straight home win for Tennessee against a top 5 opponent, Rick Barnes. Todd Gold with the handshake. That is the most in the SEC. The longest streak in SEC history. Rocky Top has been perfect for Tennessee against top 5 opponents. For our fantastic crew here in Knoxville, my partner Dane Bradshaw, I'm Tom Hart. Time for more hoops. Let's get you to the pavilion in Oxford. Dave O'Brien and Corey Alexander.